Alright, so you might notice camera quality might be a little bit different, and the audio might be a little different too. I didn't even think about that, but I'm currently filming with my phone, trying to do something a little different, trying to make editing easier, and without moving files around. I think filming and editing and then uploading on my phone will be easier for me to do daily videos or what's the word for every other? Every other day videos. So I'm trying something new here, and let me know if you guys think it's working or not. I want to be set up so that going into planting, I can do daily videos. We have our crumbler sitting in the shop right now. A crumbler is what we call it, but it's a rolling harrow. This is an Unverferth 2. That's what it says on the tongue. 25, 28 feet, something like that. I think it's a 25 because it doesn't quite fit the disc, and I think the disc is a 28. So maybe it's 26. I don't know. But anyway, we are working on basket bearings. Last year during spring, this basket fell off, which is normal for baskets to do that when the bearings go out. And we're not the kind of people to go and replace the baskets in season because we want to keep going. Now, if we lose 2 in a row, then we will go back and put at least 1 back on so that it's not doing a terrible job. But got that one on Saturday, and then realized that this bearing here was completely out. And so today, being Monday, I went and got 2 new bearings because this end has the old style. It's a pillow block bearing. And so that one, chances are, if I replace that end, this end will go, and then it'll wrench the basket around and cause all sorts of problems. So we replace them with this style. This is a flange style, and they're still greasable, but we don't usually get them greased very often or at all. I'm holding this one up with a floor jack, and once you get it popped into that little hub area that it's on, it'll hold itself there, but I'm keeping the jack up to keep the bolt holes lined up. So I had to go get bolts because I didn't plan on doing multiple baskets, so I had 3 left. 5/16 inch long carriage bolts, that's what it takes. And then if you have a bolt that has this anti-wrap bar on it, then it takes 1.25 inches. I also went and got a bunch of 5/16 hardware because we didn't have any in the drawer. And then Dad bought me the original bolts, and he went and got individual lock nuts that were 75 cents a piece. Well, I figured out they had a bulk bin of them that are $3.29 a pound, so I got a bunch of lock nuts. Alright, so I just finished up the inside one, so I'm going to show you guys step by step what we do here. First things first is we grab that blowtorch and we cut these bolts off. We use low heat so we don't mess up the mounts, and then we will lower this basket out of that cradle. It's going to be a little difficult because the bearing's still halfway decent on this side and locked into that hub, so it'll take a bar to pry this plate back a little bit, and then that basket will drop down, and we'll get it out of that cradle, and then we'll blast the bearing off with the torch, and then we can go from there. So here we are, step 1 complete. The bearings off, all sitting in a pile there. The slag I already got ground off around the bolt holes. And I always grind the lip around the side of the shaft on a good 45-degree angle, because that always seems to get mushroomed out and you will not get the new bearing on very easily. So I always go around that with a grinder. And then when that's cool, I would take this emery cloth and run all the way around it and get that surface all nice and shined up. And then after that, the bearing goes on. This one is a little bit unique because somehow the gap or the spacing came out right to where the locking collar is going to go on the outside, kind of like how that one is. But usually with the flanges, the locking collar is actually on the inside. I'll show you the bearing here. We got 2 flanges, 1 greasable, 1 not, and then the bearing. So there's the bearing. So that's going to slide on, and I got to pull this little tab out because that's used for a different style of application. So the bearing's going to go on the flange, like so. Then it's going to slide on the shaft like so. And then this flange is going to go on this side like so. And then the locking collar goes on the bearing. And then when you get to the end of the install, you back that Allen screw out. And I always go direction of travel tightening so that it has to go the opposite direction of travel to loosen. So you take a hammer and punch goes in that hole there, and you hammer it around tight, and then you tighten that Allen screw up so it doesn't back up. Dad is currently at home at his house finishing up getting taxes all put together and taken down to our accountant so that our taxes can get filed. So that always takes a lot of time. So he won't be here probably the rest of the day. And then tomorrow we'll probably hook the disc up. It's right around here. And go through that. Probably going to need a cleaner or two and then grease it. And then we'll hook it up to this crumbler. And that way that rig is sitting ready to go hooked up. We'll leave it over in the front yard. And then we'll unhook the tractor and hook the tractor on the chisel plow because we have very little, maybe an acre of chisel plowing to do just along some laneways where we loaded some trucks and stuff like that. And there it is, all done. I did manage to put the grease flange on the wrong side. The grease zerk's supposed to be on the other side. That's what this hole is in the basket, is for you to reach the grease gun through and grease it from the backside. But oh well, the grease zerk only lasts a couple acres anyway before it gets busted off by a rock, so it doesn't matter. Other than the jack, somehow we lost the bottom half of this jack in the field somewhere last year. This thing is ready to go. Now, we're not going to do anything with that jack at the moment. The plan is to cut this off here and then re-weld a new jack on there. Found one at Harbor Freight for $55. So we plan on the next time we go to Harbor Freight getting that jack and getting that replaced. But for now, it's going to get hooked on the disc and it's not going to get unhooked until spring is over. And there's no sense in it sitting in here. So it'll be hooked up. If we need to, we just pull that pin and we can bring the jack in the shop and weld it up. Yeah. But I also want to get measurements with it hooked on the disc, what the clearances are between the jack and the ground. And then I also want to have it hooked to a tractor and see what the clearances are and pick something in the middle to get the jack welded at. Run up into my house, go to the office, and work on the rest of the fertilizer stuff that I've been working on this morning before I came out here. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So the office has been quite a mess with paperwork because these are all my fertilizer scripts, some mail laying around, some other stuff. Got the whiteboard going with everything written down for the year. So we'll just show you one of each. So we have our corn rack. So you can see that. Corn rack, 225 bushel yield goal, and I highlighted everything we're doing on these fields, what micros we're putting on, all that. So I've been highlighting those all morning, what we're doing just to make mixing easier. And then I have my totals for all the products we need on this. And then I got so that's cereal grains, rye and wheat. And then I got soybeans, and then I got corn. So now what I got to do is in order to make a little more ease of mixing, I am going to add up everything that goes in the in-furrow program and write the total per acre rate, and then add up the 2x2 and put the total per acre rate. Since I don't have good solid rate control on the planner, like I can tweak it if I need to, the plan is I'm going to take the highest number in corn as a per acre rate and then adjust everything else with water to get to that rate. And then the same with beans. We will either run the highest corn rate and cut with water, or go to the highest bean rate and recalibrate for beans. and then cut with water everything else to bring it up to that rate. That's the plan anyway. We'll see if it works. 2x2, right now we're dialed in at 25 gallons to the acre. For the most part, that's going to be about right. We're going to have a lot of water in that system with beans because we're not going to be running 28. And then once we move over to corn, that 28 will take up quite a bit of that water space. We'll end up putting 15 gallons of 28 on in the 2x2, and then boron and sidekick, which is liquid potassium as well. The potassium takes up 8 gallons because you're running about 4 gallons of potassium, but then in order to keep it from becoming cottage cheese with the 28, you have to put extra water in. So you basically take the amount of the potassium you're putting in and add that much water to keep it from not mixing right. I've got everything done as far as soybeans and corn goes. Wheat, we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants as far as what we're going to do with the wheat. So I haven't touched that. So you can see what I kind of did here. I'll show you one bean one. We have total in-furrow 4.8 gallons, total 2x2 6.5 gallons, and then total foliar 4.12 gallons. So almost half of our rate of foliar, because we run an 8-gallon total, will be actual product and half will be carrier. And then on corn, we have total in-furrow 6.125, total 2x2 16, and then total side dress 39.5 gallons total, but 36.5 gallons of 28. So we did almost like a dynamic yield check on corn. So some are 180 yield goal, some are 200. I believe there's 150s and then also a couple 225s. We did that because we have fields like across the road here from the farm where we have a 12-acre field next to a 5-acre field, next to a 6-acre field, next to a 5-acre field, and they're all surrounded by trees. So farms like that are prone to deer damage and then also just trees sucking the nutrients up before the plants can get them. So with those fields, that one specifically is set to 150 bushel yield goal on corn. And I was looking at my yield maps today. Those fields went from 140 to 145 last time they were corn. So that's kind of our goal there. Instead of having a blanket 180 yield goal across the board, we have some with less, some with more. If we hit all our yield goals this year and we continue with this program, we bump them all up 10%. And that is how you find your most efficient yield threshold. Is you just keep bumping up until you can't hit that yield goal anymore, and then we'll back it back off to the previous one and just roll with that from here on out.
Good morning. I think it's colder than it was yesterday this time, but today it's supposed to get warmer, so hopefully it does, because I can't feel my hands already. We're going to try and get this disc pulled up to the shop and gone through. We're going to hook it onto the 4-wheel drive over there on the other side of the semi. So we got to switch out all these tips. These are all the newer style universals. The tractor is the old tapered style John Deere fitting yet, so we got to change them out. And then I think we need to lift this up with the skid loader and take this jack off, because I think that is too high for the 4-wheel drive to pick up. This is just going to be checking tires, checking wheel bearings. Everything seems to be in order. We just got to grease all them bearings. And yeah, I don't see dirt built up anywhere, so it might not have any cleaners that broke off, but we'll see. Here we are in front of the shop. Couple things I noticed already. All our cleaners are good. We don't have any that need to be replaced. The only thing that concerns me is these wing tires. These two look good. They have a little bit of cracking, but it's not anything concerning. These 4 main ones were replaced 2 years ago, I think. So those ones are brand new. Got 2 seasons on them, but these 2 over here have some serious weather problems. I'll show you this one right there. Got that spot in it. It's got a lot of excessive cracking down in between the ribs. This one's the same. It's got the same spot on it. Now I would flat out replace these if they were main wheels, because they would be your road travel wheels. But because they're on the wing, I am very tempted to just let them be. Maybe I'll order one tire and have it in the shop in case one of them blows. There's a lot of machines on the farm, or there's a lot of equipment on the farm that takes this same tire. I think they're 11L15s. So our seed tender takes the same size. I believe the chisel plow takes the same size. Yeah, 11L15 SL. Our chisel plow takes the same tire. I believe our seed tender takes the same tire. There's quite a few pieces around here that have that. So if I order one tire just to have for a spare, then I could feel comfortable going into the season with those two. But we'll see what Dad says. We'll have him look at them too and see what he thinks. But as far as disc maintenance goes, the only thing we got to do is grease it and check the tires, and that thing's ready to go. And then we will use a skid loader and pull this crumbler out of the shop, and we'll hook it up out in the driveway. Disc is all done and gone through, greased up, tires are checked and inflated, crumbler's hooked up. So now we are going to unhook it here in the front yard. And then I already stole 2 hydraulic tips off of this because we don't seem to have any laying around anywhere. And we're going to go back over there, hook onto the chisel plow and go through that, and then maybe even go out and use it. I'm kind of looking for an excuse today to work this tractor a little bit, because after we got the transmission in it, we realized it's putting coolant in the oil. And so now we're gonna dump a bunch of stop leak in the coolant. Hopefully it'll hold its coolant halfway decent through spring, and then we'll address that later, address what's gonna happen with this later, because we're kind of up in the air. We don't really want to tear the engine down again. In my personal opinion, is it's most likely a cracked piston sleeve or even a warped and cracked block. And I think if we tear into this, there's going to be something really bad that is going to be really expensive. And we're kind of just thinking about trying to patch it together, get it through a couple years, and then if the reality is we got to scrap it when we're done with it, so be it. I don't want to pass on a problem to another guy. This is just the way we got to figure out our plan to approach this problem. But it might be duct tape and Gorilla Glue sort of fix for now, because I know it's bad for the engines to do it, but when the engine's in bad shape already, what do you do? Just like that, chisel plow's in front of the shop. All the points are good. We put new points on last year, I think it was, and they had got 20 acres on them, so they're all good to go. My welds on this spindle are still good. Usually we got to weld that up once or twice a year. It gets bouncing, doing headlands and stuff, and brakes, but that's all good yet. Just got to check tires, which I can see them both. They're about flat, and these ones are getting pretty weather checked too. I think these are 11L15s as well. So another reason to get a spare, I guess. We are basically going out and I got one field that's got a long lane all the way down it, and it ends up, the lane's not in great shape, so as soon as the crops come off, people end up driving along the side of the lane, so I'm basically shattering all that compaction on both sides of the lane, and that's about it. I've got one spot up front there where we had some manure dumped from a semi, and so I'm going to hit that as well. But for the most part, that's the only chisel plowing we're going to do. But anyway, aside from checking tires, I think there are grease zerks on these front disc gangs, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe there's not. That one doesn't have one, it's broken off. But there's supposed to be grease zerks on the front discs, and I'll grease anyone that has one. And then aside from that, that's it. After that, it'll be about time to go in for lunch, and I'll probably run uptown before lunch, get the stuff I need for this tractor. Like I was saying, probably put some stop leak in the radiator, and gotta top it off on coolant because it's low on coolant already. Just from putzing around the yard, it's putting that much coolant in the oil. But do that, get anything we need for the tractor, and then right after lunch we'll go out and try it.
We've got exhaust fumes coming out of the overflow really bad, so I'm pretty sure this thing's got something wrong with it internally. But it's turning over really nice. Made a pass along this side. This is where most of the driving happened in the fall, because this side was wheat over the summer and then cover crop now. I made a pass down a partial of this side. Didn't really feel like there was any compaction. The tractor wasn't working any. But this side it worked a little bit. That green up, that is a cover crop we flew on with the drones last fall before the beans came off. So the ryegrass is coming up. There's some clover in there. Doesn't look too bad. This side is just ryegrass and clover as well, coming back from the summer cover. That had about 7 different species in there. Most of it winter kills, and then the ryegrass and the clover comes back, and we'll be planting directly into that and then terminating with Roundup. Well, it did not do that before the transmission job. So something happened to it while it was sitting. This sat for a year before it came in the shop to do the transmission work. Something left the chat in that block or something, and it's not going to be good. But hopefully I'll show you guys what we got to put in it. I'm hoping that it makes it through spring, but at the same time, it is not going to surprise me at all if this tractor pukes first day. Honestly, it's not. That tractor has left us in a rut more than once. So where'd it go? Where'd Dad put it? It's over here. This is what we got. K-Seal HD. So this whole jug is going to get dumped in there once it cools down enough and I can top it off, because I do want most of the coolant to be in the system when I do it. It wasn't blowing coolant, it was just blowing exhaust fumes, so I'm hoping there's something left in it. We'll pull the dipstick while it's hot and see what that looks like. Look at the dipstick. The oil is completely gray. Even almost transparent. Up here, I've always been told that you see bubbles or foam up on top of the stick. I've never seen that with coolant in the oil. I've always just physically seen coolant in the oil. Or the gray oil like that. Cool down. I did not think it was that bad when I went out with it. That's why I went out. I was going to do the chisel palm before the stop leak thing, but that thing was blowing as much smoke out of the overflow as it was out of the stack. We've got splatter on this side running down. Something back in there. I can't see it. Of course it would be in the spot you can't see. I'm gonna shine my light back in there and see if I can see something. But I'm still pretty sure it's not coming from the head. She dumped in. Let's see how this goes. I'm just supposed to let it sit and idle for 5-10 minutes. Supposedly it's gonna fix it. When I first started it up after topping it off, it was blowing a bunch of coolant out. So I waited for that to slow down before I dumped it in. And once I dumped it in, it gradually started slowing it down, but maybe it just blocked the overflow. Got a little bit of overflow drippage again. I'll just let it set for 5-10 minutes and then we'll see what it looks like. I have zero confidence whatsoever, but we'll see. Should I even bother trying to use this tractor this spring? It was 2:30 a while ago, so I went inside the house, ate lunch. We made our fertilizer order today, and it came out about $5,000 more than what I had calculated. So I was sitting down and making sure we were getting the right stuff, and
seems to be right. The only thing that happened was because of the quantities that we needed, we ended up ordering more than what we actually are going to use. So that's where that extra money came from, or extra cost. And then there was other things like sprayer surfactant that I'm buying from them. One is going in the burn down, and I'm experimenting with that, so I didn't buy a lot of it. And then the other stuff is needed with the foliar. It acts as a leaf penetrant for making sure the foliar gets into the plant. So I hadn't taken them into account, as well as there's a seed treatment that we are going to be running in the box of the planter on half the planter until we run out of it. And I hadn't accounted for that. So all of that added up together was about $1,500. And then once you add up all the incremental stuff, that all the quantities that we aren't going to use but had to buy, that ends up being there. But it is cheaper than if we were to go down to like a 5-gallon increment in jugs and buy them like that. It is cheaper than buying it all in 2.5s. We'll be seeing that shipment here either Friday or next Monday. Today's Tuesday, so hopefully they come Friday. 2 semis, lots of stuff. So, but it's also a lot of money. Now that the shop is empty again, we'll probably just work on tidying all this stuff up. Tidy up around there a little bit. I got one thing to do with the disc spine yet before I need to. Actually, those parts should be in today. I should run down there and see if they're all there. But I still got to pull the floor off, a bunch of little bolts along the back. I'll get that done sometime. We'll get all this stuff picked up, floor swept. Still got to run the seed tender in here, as well as the liquid tender. So we'll get that stuff ran through here probably tomorrow. We'll move that in the morning. I want to give that stop leak stuff overnight to set before it starts up again. But we got the shop cleaned up. The floor anyway. There's still plenty of stuff all over the place. It is amazing how much dirt and debris piles up on the floor, even when there's nothing sat in here. Last time it was swept was when the sprayer came in, and after the sprayer went out, the only other thing that came in was a crumbler. And that much stuff piles up. But I gotta find a spot for this rebar, which I think it'll go back here with the metal stuff. There we go. So I gotta get the scrap picked up. We got these air chambers that are locked up. They got to go to the scrapyard, but they don't go in the truck with the rest of it. They got to go separately. And then I have to get these trash barrels emptied out. There's a full one there, full one there, full one back in the corner, I think. No, that one might be empty. And then I got a full one over there. So get them emptied once Dad's done with the skid loader. He's cleaning some pens out over there. I'd like to get this stuff cleaned up. I got to find a spot in the barn for that generator. And then that's Dad's salt spreader. We can put that away. Throw these pots out. I don't think we're doing anything with them. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for today. If anything does happen, I guess you guys will see it in tomorrow's video, because this is the end of this one. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about this daily or bi-daily. That's what it was. Bi-daily. I don't think that's right. Videos. And then let me know if I should keep doing them or go back to just when I was filming a major project and then upload that. You guys are kind of seeing more of the day-to-day in this. And like I said before, I'll do this and then have my camera rolling on big major projects still. So you guys will see kind of snippets of the big major project and then have a big video roll out on them when that happens. So please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.